Hi, folks. Welcome back to Curtis Goes Corner. Germany protests clash with police amid government coronavirus restrictions. Critics say lockdown laws give the government too much power. Take a look at this, folks. This is our future here in the United States if we continue to let progressives and leftists run the place. Control and power, control and power. This is what it's about. It's sad, but it's true. German police fired water cannons Wednesday at demonstrators protesting coronavirus restrictions in Berlin's government district after crowds ignored calls to wear masks and keep their distance from one another in line with pandemic regulations. Just some minor research when the pandemic first started in the spring of early this year. Almost every pandemic has a peak. It just destroys and ruins lives and kills a lot of people. And over time, it flattens out. And then it spikes at the end. It always does. Always being 95% of the time. And 95% of the time, the death rate is much lower per thousand than at the beginning because the virus almost always weakens itself, makes people sick, but doesn't kill them. Why are the positive readings and people getting more corona? That's the way it always is. And people are getting it, and they're becoming immune. That's the way these things go. That's the way these pandemics have gone throughout history. And on top of that, normally as a rule, as it spikes and the death rate goes way down, the virus itself is weaker. Any simple Google search or whatever search engine you use will tell you that. I even know that, and I'm not a doctor. But this is your future, folks. This is how the Europeans think, just like the progressives and the leftists. It's a bad, bad idea. As the cannons soaked protesters outside the landmark Brandenburg Gate, you remember that one, of course, from World War II, police in riot gear moved through the crowd, carrying away some participants. Some demonstrators threw fireworks and flares in response as police helicopters hovered overhead. This isn't a political fight, folks. These people are fighting for their freedom. And in Europe, it gets smaller and smaller. Look into this picture. Look into the crystal ball. This is our future if we let it happen. The protest came as German lawmakers opened debate on a bill that would provide the legal underpinning for the government to issue social distancing rules requiring masks in public and close stores and other venues to slow the spread of the virus. While such measures are supported by most people in Germany, a vocal minority has staged regular rallies around the country arguing the restrictions are unconstitutional. I doubt if it's that much small of a minority. Technically, 49% is a minority. So let's just cut through the crap before we all drown in it. The measures are expected to pass both the lower and then upper house of parliament and be quickly signed into by Germany's president. See a picture here. Road between the Brandenburg Gate and the Reichstag building, home of the German federal parliament, as people attend a protest rally in front of the Brandenburg Gate in Berlin. It's going on all over the place. Authorities have earlier banned a series of protests directly outside the parliament building due to security concerns. And fencing was put up around the wide area, including the Bundestag and nearby parliamentary offices, the federal chancellery, and the presidential residence and offices. Outside the metal cordons, protests gathered early Wednesday by the Brandenburg Gate and on the streets and bridges. The demonstrators came from all walks of life, ranging from far left to far right, which also include families, students, and others. We want our lives back, read one sign carried by protesters. Another said, put banks under surveillance, not citizens. I like that one. One demonstrator held a flag with a picture of an outgoing U.S. President Donald Trump and an image invoking the right-wing conspiracy theory QAnon, while another had a placard showing top German virologist Christian Dorsten in prison garb with the word guilty. Yeah, it gets a little crazy. These people are pissed. They're pissed. They want their lives back. The virus is going to do what it's going to do. German Foreign Minister Heiko Maas reacted sharply to the accusation for some protesters that the measures were akin to the 1933 Enabling Act, which allowed the Nazis to enact laws without parliamentary approval. I'm telling you, rights Europeans, they're screwed. Why do you think they come here? Why do you think they come here? Everyone naturally has the right to criticize the measures. Our democracy thrives through the exchange of different opinions, he wrote on Twitter. But whoever realizes or trivializes the Holocaust has learned nothing from our history. Are they going to do Holocaust-type things because of this? No. But the problem is, though, with these liberal progressives, I should say progressive leftists, more and more authority, more and more power. Look at this, folks. This is our future if we allow it to happen. We are the only country where our rights are in our Constitution, printed in the Bill of Rights. We're the only one. And we've survived this long because of it. And the Constitution is under threat. A demonstration earlier this month in the eastern city of Leipzig ended in chaos when thousands of protesters defied police orders to wear masks and later to disperse. Some participants attacked police officers and journalists. Local authorities were criticized for acting too slowly and not forcefully enough to break up the crowd in Leipzig, allowing the situation to get out of control. Berlin police said they have given out multiple citations already Wednesday for violating mask-wearing regulations. Yeah. Of all places, Germany, to crack down on your citizens. Of course, none of these people were alive when it happened before, but they certainly can read. They can certainly read. But that their appeals for people to wear protective gear and to keep their distance from one another were largely being ignored. Yeah, same thing happened in the United States prior to the election. All these BLM protests, all these Antifa, I should say riots and looting. They were all walking shoulder to shoulder. Not a peep. Not a peep. You have a Trump rally, it's the end of the world. They're all going to die. But somehow protesting for what you believe in and then rioting later is a constitutional right. It's so pathetically hypocritical that I can't even begin to tell you. Unbelievable. Police said that the order had not been given to detain people not following the regulations. Said the order had now been given to detain people not following the regulations. Well, let's round up the usual suspects. If that does not help, the only course that remains is to disperse the gathering, police said on Twitter. Germany, which has been praised for its handling of the first wave of the virus, has recently seen a sharp uptick in numbers of new infections, now midway through a second partial lockdown meant to try and slow the spread. People always get a positive reading at the end of a pandemic. It always goes up, and the death rates go down. Locking people up and destroying the economy is going to kill more people. It's as simple as that. Overall, the country has seen 833,000 corona cases and more than 13,000 virus-confirmed deaths in the pandemic, a death toll one-fourth that of Britain's. Maybe they just have more common sense. I don't know. I'm not an immunologist, so I don't know why they would have 4 times less than Britain. But what this story is really about to me is people's rights. It's a pandemic, and it's sad, and people are going to die. Go through St. Jude's Hospital in the United States. There are 2, 3, 4-year-old kids dying of cancer. It's horrible. It's horrendous. It's totally unfair. But that is just nature. And we have to do our best. Wash your hands, wear a mask when you're out. I have no problem with the social distancing and the mask, even though I think it's more to make you feel better than effective. But that's okay. But don't do what we did here in the United States. Upend an election, put our total country in chaos worse than it already was, just so you can win. And the rights of people, how much psychological damage is this causing to children that don't socialize in school? How much? How much is enough? Now, they don't have the elections in Germany to interfere with this, but still, this is our future if we're not careful. More and more regulations, more and more lockdowns, more and more government interference. It's as simple as that. And that, folks, is my opinion. And until next time, goodbye and good luck.